The Lakers were burned 3 separate times on this ball screen action from Chris Paul when he was denied, setting a ball screen for Steven Adams, a point guard setting a ball screen for the center. This is not new action, but I am going to break this action down and talk about exactly why it works. The play starts off with just getting the ball to the elbow of Steven Adams. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is denying Chris Paul trying to come off this handoff or just this two-man game. So Chris Paul is going to curl inside the lane and set a quick ball screen with his hip on JaVale McGee, and because he's so small, gets his shoulder into his chest and allows Steven Adams to get downhill for a dunk. This action, this ball screen occurred 2 more times throughout the rest of the game. Here we see baseline out of bounds. Lakers do a solid job of covering it here. Steven Adams attacks downhill, ends up finishing through contact and making the layup. The next example was later in the game with Dion Waiters being overly aggressive with Chris Paul when he was trying to dance. Chris Paul takes advantage of that and screens for Steven Adams. Now, I first personally saw this action back in 2011 with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. They ran this action in 2 different scenarios. One was just in a random flow of play, but they also ran a pretty good ball screen out of this action, out of the sideline, out of bounds. The reason this was set up is because often in this scenario, they would post Chris Paul. So when he's denied here, it creates an easy downhill driving lane for Blake Griffin. Now, Mike D'Antoni came up with this term, under, for a guard setting a ball screen for a big. This is action that Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire would run often. And as you can see here, out of his horns look, great action here. I really love this, how they empty out one side and have Steve Nash go and set this ball screen for Amari to get downhill. The one key here is on the opposite elbow, Shawn Marion is going to dive to the opposite short corner, emptying out the strong side to allow Amari to go to his right hand. When Steve Nash is jammed or denied, all he has to do is stop in the paint and create an easy downhill advantage for Amari. Now, the Golden State Warriors made an absolute killing off this action. From 2015 to basically last year, you'll see Steph and Klay set ball screens for Draymond handling and playing small with their skill and their shooting. It was almost unguardable action. Because Steph and Klay are such good shooters, you have to constantly stay attached. And by constantly staying attached, it's going to allow for easier scoring opportunities and for Draymond to get downhill. Chris Paul, this year with the Thunder, has taken this exact screen and used it 3 times like we talked about in this game, but also anytime Steven Adams is at the elbow and he's being jammed or denied, he'll use that as an opportunity to screen and try to get him turning the corner downhill. Now let's look at some specific sets or actions that the 2019-20 NBA teams are using as NBA has evolved into more scoring and skilled bigs. One of the most prevalent teams using this action is the Nuggets with Jamal Murray and Jokic. You'll see the ball get passed to the middle, triggering that delay action or almost 5 out. Jamal Murray is going to set a ball screen for Jokic. I love the angle he sets this ball screen at here, forcing the defense to make a switch. He rolls and finds Millsap on the roll. Teams use this action all the time. The Nuggets, the Heat, you name it, they'll run this action. The Mavericks run a really good after timeout here for Porzingis. I hope they run more of this action. They have only run it once this year after timeout, but this is a consistent action that you'll see run by multiple teams throughout the NBA. The next example is at the elbow. The 76ers run this elbow action for Joel Embiid all the time. So you'll see Embiid catch the ball here at the elbow. They could be either a handoff or whatever variation they run off of their elbow series. Here we're gonna get a Korkmaz screen, and it's gonna force Kevin Huerter to try and guard Joel Embiid coming downhill. And generally speaking, that does not work out well for the defense in that scenario. They ran this all the time when they had JJ Redick. Now they don't run it as much, but they will run it at times off the elbow out of either their motion read or an actual read. And as well as the Oklahoma City Thunder will have that elbow action for Steven Adams where they come off their split cuts and set up ball screen for him to get downhill. Thank you so much for watching this breakdown. I look forward to doing more. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at HalfCourtHoops. I've included additional examples at the end of this video just to give you a little bit more context for the raw film. Thanks.